Hello, and welcome to Life at Your Own World podcast, the podcast which navigates the life of me, your host, Will Venus, and their co host husband, Jay. Today we're bringing you some laughter. We'll be talking about some of our favourite comedies that make us absolutely chuckle, plus bringing you some behind the scenes facts about some of the most iconic British comedies, plus chatting about some things that have been in the news this week. But firstly, it's the 1st of June, the start of Pride Month. We, of course, are very much part of the LGBTQIAP plus community, so however you identify, always know that this podcast is a safe and protective place for the queer community. Jay's back,
Hello.
and he's doing his best no coward impression for some reason.
Oh, Phoebe.
This is the bit where you talk.
Oh, Phoebe. Oh, Gary, yes.
Yeah, you're, of course, referring to...
Good night, sweetheart.
I don't know the rest of the lyrics for that song.
Till we meet tomorrow.
Anyway, going completely off topic. So, what we wanted to talk about in the news this week. When was it that it happened? Miss Anime Bullock, also known as Tina Turner, she passed away. She has been quite an influence in our life. Jay, you absolutely love music, and you love her music and what she was all about.
I know, I hope wherever she is, I hope she's still rolling on the river.
I'm sure she is. What was your favourite songs of hers?
Whenever you need, Mary, as she called it.
Was it not Proud Mary?
Oh yeah, but she called it Mary.
I'm sure my friends sang that in a karaoke once in a bar.
Yeah, not Bush City Limit. No, not Bush City. Do you know what?
You know, when I think about Nutbush City Limit, I think about that joke that Jim Royal made in The Royal Family, as in the sitcom, not the monarchy.
Yeah. Do you know what the song's about?
No, I don't.
She was from there. That's where she was brought up and born in Nutbush,
Where's that?
Tennessee. Nutbush,
It's
Tennessee.
Tennessee,
Yeah,
right?
and that's Bush City Limits where they can't ride things and they have to do sing church on Sunday. So like it's all about her life and that. And I also love songs like obviously We Don't Need Another Hero.
Yeah, whenever I think about Tina Turner's music, I think about my mum and her sisters, and some of the very drunken times that they had with her music on. I just assimilate Tina Turner with my mum and her sisters
Yeah.
always. And when one of my aunties had a hair salon, they were always playing Tina Turner music.
Oh, cool. So I've got a question for you.
Right?
What's love got to do? Got to do with it?
I don't know. It's just a second-hand emotion, apparently.
And would you like to be my private dancer?
I think I already am.
And you're my
You're
private dancer.
you're the only person that I dance in front of.
My dancer for money.
Well, I
I'll
don't get any
do
money for
what
it.
you want me to do.
Oh, yeah, oh.
I'm your private dancer. A dancer for money. And any old music will do.
Don't we need to pay her now?
I Deutschmarks or dollars.
Right, okay. God. Sorry, listeners, if we've just deafened you. Yeah, and this year, I mean, what was that year when there was loads and loads of stars that died?
2016, like
2016.
Carrie Fisher and name a few, you know.
Yeah, David Bowie and that.
Yeah.
So this has been a bit like
Yeah.
2016 again, because I mean, there's been Paul O'Grady gone, Tina Turner. Who else?
The bassist who played ABBA, and there's lots of different people, and it's just
Famous people. I mean, I don't know who you mean.
yeah. There's lots of them actually.
Yeah.
Strange.
Did you say strange or cringe?
Strange.
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit cringy also when people die, because you never know what to do or say or feel.
And I'm still like upset for Malcolm obviously over that because he's his best friend. You know, worked for 14 years on the radio show. And it's
Yeah,
like,
with Paul.
yeah. But you know what I was thinking though the other day?
You were thinking?
Yeah.
Really?
That
wait, hold.
We didn't.
Wait. Inform the press. Jay was thinking.
Oh yeah. We didn't actually just get to see Paul O'Grady.
Mhm.
We got to see Lily Savage.
We did, yeah.
So.
And like I said in that previous episode, that was my first introduction ever to drag.
Yeah, so we got to see Paul as his life, as Paul, and as that, as playing with Hannigan. So it wasn't. So it was nice double whammy.
Yeah, it was. It was very special, and I'm so glad that we went.
I had a gut feeling we had to book it.
For the ASMR lovers, did you get the sound of the ice in the glass?
I had a gut.
Some of my friends really love ASMR. God, we've got so many topics that we've just went off on just now.
Never mind, you continue.
Yeah, what? I want to talk about this, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't really want to ruin my chances of getting on the show. So, of course, in the news this week, it's been completely flooded with things about Philip Schofield
Indeed.
and the toxic culture at This Morning. Do you believe it?
I do
I
actually.
mean, just specifically about the toxic culture,
I
not the other
I
stuff.
do actually, because so many people left. Obviously, Dr. Range, Rylan,
Yeah, I mean, I
Eamon and
think
Ruth.
Dr. Ranj, who's a TV doctor, we are, of course, talking about ITV's This Morning. He said that he was, what was the word he used? Something out?
Managed out.
Managed out,
Yeah,
yeah.
managed out.
Uh, he, first of all, I think he's very handsome, but he seems a very nice person, and I feel, I mean, if all of these things are true about what Philip allegedly got up to with the runner, I feel such a fool because I've watched that show ever since I can remember for at least 20 years.
Yeah, and I started watching it probably with you when we first met, and
I
it's
mean, I
like,
was watching it when I was off school, apparently ill.
yeah, it's just, you know, what makes me feel sad that there's so many nice people like Eamon and Ruth and Floda and even Josie Gibson and Alison and all that, and they're so nice and
Yeah, they're really nice
they want to
presenters.
help. They want to
But
help.
we also thought that Philip was a nice presenter as well and a nice person.
Well, remember when Kevin Woodburn was on a few years ago talking about when she was on
Yeah, and then
Big Brother?
it was made out to look like she was the fool.
No, yeah, it wasn't. It was him because she
Yeah,
knew what he was like and she couldn't say anything about it properly because it would, you know.
yeah, I think she called him a phony amongst other things.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's just when you think about over the years all like the phone-ins and things that they've had when they talk to people that are in dire straits with like money or their mental health or their physical health, they were on the TV during like the strict lockdowns and things, and that was the only thing that people had to look forward
And
to.
they
And then
even
you think it was all fake,
Yeah, they even said
allegedly.
that they're there for to help you to that. It's like, yeah, it's all fake. And I think it just makes you think you can't trust anyone on TV.
Yeah,
And the whole point, you have to make linear TV, as linear TVs call it, TV channels. You have to make that more feasible, more viable, more accessible to people because people are obviously watching streaming services.
yeah.
And
Not everyone knows how to use streaming
yeah,
services. Yeah,
you're just drawing them away
yeah,
from that. And I mean, it's good to have streaming services. We watch BritBox and that we watch that because all the stuff we watch, but you need to have a balance, and they're stopping that balance by being not genuine people.
yeah, yeah. And people are saying like there's a whiff of the Jimmy Savile type cover up.
I'd imagine it's so.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, moving swiftly on because what are we here today to talk about? Comedy, of course, and one of my favourite BBC comedies, and it was set in the 90s, made in the 90s, 2.4 Children.
Rona.
So, for those that don't know, 2.4 Children was a sitcom that was based in Chiswick, I think, and the show ran from either 1992 or 1991 to 1999, and it was about this family based in Chiswick. The parents were called Bill and Ben Porter. What's the other Bill and Ben thing?
Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men.
Yeah, that's it. So the story or the setting is Bill, who is played by Belinda Lang. The series starts off, she is unemployed, and her daughter Jenny, who there was two Jennies, two actors that played her. The first Jenny was played by Claire Woodgate, who later on changed her persona and her name to Georgina Cates. This character was so embarrassed that her mum was unemployed. Then you had Ben, who was the dad, played by Gary Olson. He actually died in 2000 of a brain tumour, I think. Very sad. And you, of course, had the neighbour, Rona, and
Rona.
she was played by Julia Hills. She was like she loved men, basically. She was a bit of a
Dorian.
Dorian, yeah.
Yeah, Dorian.
And yeah, you got to see all the capers that Bill and
Well,
Ben, Jenny, and the son, David, played by John Pickard.
yeah. Actually, as well, she is Dorian because she had Dorian dress once.
Yeah, we love that. I love anything that's to do with the 90s, don't you?
Yeah, indeed, because I was born in the 80s. So.
Yeah, he was born in the 90s after me. I'm a Thatcher child. You used to be a Thatcher fan, didn't you?
I was deluded.
At least you're honest.
Yes. Yes, well.
Uh, so what's your favourite moments from the show?
That chocolate episode where they have that try the chocolate bar
Like,
Hilarious.
can you explain it to the listeners?
They were in the Ben and the kids were in the they're in the shopping
And
centre.
I mean, it was very much like a family
Yeah, they were
oriented
in the
comedy.
shopping centre, and you get these people come to you, right, to try this test product stuff, right?
Sampler people.
Samples, and they get this chocolate bar, but this chocolate bar was taking over their brains, so it making them want to crave it all the time. So they had to have one, and they couldn't stop having them. And Bill had to stop them by taking the chocolate away. And in the end, obviously Rona can't take chocolate, but she has one anyway, and tears her house apart trying to find his chocolate. Their house apart, trying to set his
Yeah, because there
chocolate
was
bar.
something in this chocolate that was quite addictive.
Psycho.
Psychoactive
Yeah.
ingredients, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there was, I think it was the scene at the end of the episode where Rona had completely torn the
How?
living room apart.
Yeah, trying to find this chocolate bar.
And I'm just going to give you this bit of insider information before I forget it. I really love everything about sets, both the interior sets and the exterior sets. So they, thanks for knocking the mic.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's still breathing. It's still listening. Yeah, so they actually had two locations for the exterior sets because I think the residents in the actual street where they filmed it, they got a bit pissed off. So I think it was series 6 onwards they had to find a different location to do the exterior
Ooh,
scenes.
never knew that.
Yeah, and what the interior set looks like is absolutely nothing compared to what the actual house in real life is like.
Wow.
Which to me it's really deceiving and it kind of breaks the fantasy of it.
Does it look like that scene that Ben had or Bill had when Carol Smiley comes in from changing rooms and they
No, it's a completely different layout.
yeah.
So there's like, I think from what I can remember, you can look it up online as
Yeah.
well. From what I can remember, there was like when from the interior set, what you see, which was filmed at BBC Television Centre back then, there was no like immediate staircase when you got in the front door,
Ah.
and then there was like a hallway that went right through where the stairs to upstairs go, and then you go right into this huge kitchen, and then beyond that there's like a conservatory as well. It's
Cool.
it's a lot bigger than what the set is.
Cool. You know what I love as well? That episode with their Ben's dad comes back and his sister phones Bill up because they're staying at the house and his girlfriend. But
Yeah, I think that's one of the earlier episodes where one of the characters, she is racist, and uh, Bill doesn't take kindly to that. Of course, with it being a BBC comedy, there was many Christmas specials as well, and I think in a couple of the Christmas specials there was a guest appearance by Liz Smith.
oh, they played.
Remember her?
Yep, the auntie and the mum.
Yeah, so she played the mother and the Aunt Belle.
Yeah, and Bill.
So she was playing two characters, and the one that I can remember that kind of sticks in my mind. There's a scene. It's more like the entire episode really, where I can't remember if it's the mother or the aunt, and she lives in a high-rise flat.
The aunt.
Is it the aunt?
Yeah.
Aunt Belle, and one of the characters is very prim and proper. The other one is quite filthy and improper, I suppose. And I can't remember the exact reason, but she goes to the outside of this flat and because I've got vertigo, and if I see even something on the TV that's to do with height, it makes me go completely dizzy. And yes, she's outside, and I'm like, oh God, will you just please get back in?
Of course. It's crazy. Another one I really like as well. It's the one where Bill finds out her dad was never buried there at the cemetery, and he's cryogenically frozen.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant episode.
Yeah, and I think the storyline for that one was the cryogenics place was closing down.
It was.
So they had to get their frozen dad, and it was in their front room.
Yeah, and then she realised her handbag's in the thing.
Yeah. So she had to ring round, as you do it was in the Yellow Pages back then, to find a cryogenics place to see if they could take him.
And they found one in Scotland.
Yeah, that's right.
And her handbag, Elizabeth's handbag, was actually inside and she left it.
Yeah.
It was really funny, that one.
So if you're looking for like a family comedy, 2.4 Kids, it's on BritBox. We should be getting sponsored by BritBox.
And David's girlfriend at the time, because Feminist stuff. Remember, she was like a psychic.
Yeah, and I think there was Was it 8 seasons of
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and at least 60 episodes, I
yeah.
think.
It was good.
Yeah, and it also dealt with some really important stuff like bulimia.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some mental health stuff as
Oh, and
well.
finding out your finding out your real dad is like with Ben finding out he's half Jewish,
Yeah, his Jewish heritage.
and then what else?
Which he didn't have a clue about.
No, then what else? And also diabetes, having a baby because Rona found a baby, finding
Yeah,
jobs,
yeah,
and lots of stuff.
unemployment. Which
Yeah,
was a real problem. Well, it still is now, but I mean, in the early 90s.
yeah. Also Catholicism with in iron lungs.
Yes, remember that episode when she, because the Julia Hill's character Rona, she as a kid went to a, what would you call it,
Catholic school, like
a
a
Catholic
yeah,
nun school,
like a convent school.
a convent school. Yeah, that's it. And one of her teachers,
Mother Superior was an iron lung, and she had to go have a drink of water. I won't go too heavy on the water.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they were handing out water like it was champagne. She's like, no, I won't go too overboard with the water.
yeah, it was so funny.
And then later on in the seasons, because they couldn't get their own jobs, they set up their own catering firm.
They did outside train tracks where the guy's wig fell off.
Yeah.
It was fun. Oh, and then Bill, in that episode, one of them, Bill has this wardrobe from her auntie or something, and this fur coat, and she gets trapped in the fur coat.
Yeah,
And
because they've got removal guys coming in to take away this wardrobe because they've got no place for it.
yeah,
She wanted to surprise Ben
yeah,
being naked under a coat, but
yeah,
then the kids come home, so she hides in this wardrobe. The removal men come in while she's still inside the wardrobe, and then there's like this many scenes where she's in like the back in this wardrobe on a truck.
yeah, going to the auction house at the council rooms.
Yeah, and then when she ends up there,
They knock on the thing and it opens up.
so yeah, that's 2.4 Kids. And like we said, if you want to check it out, there's BritBox, and I suppose you could see some clips on YouTube. Now, the next comedy we want to talk about is one that I don't really know a lot about and don't really care for, to be honest. And I will let Jay talk all about it.
Oh, it's the place where everybody knows your name.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers, I love Cheers, and Frasier, obviously. Cheers is just one of these sitcoms where you just sit down for half an hour and just.
Who created Cheers?
It was the. Oh, I can't remember now.
Was it not a couple of brothers?
Yeah, with the Burroughs brothers.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Charles brother. Yeah, sorry. Then also was, and I had lots of cast and Ted Danson, Shelley Long, John Ratzenberger, George Wendt, to name a few. Woody Harrelson, obviously, Kelsey Grammer and BB Newirth.
So it's saying that Cheers, it ran from 1982 to 1993.
Yeah, and I was going to continue, but unfortunately, Ted didn't want to do it, and
Why not?
because I think he just because he had it's 11 seasons, it's a lot, but
Yeah, I
Woody
suppose.
Harrelson was going to take over, but he didn't want to do it. I think because he wasn't going to be there, so kind of
Take over from what?
from being in the bar manager, so he didn't want to do it from like.
So, I mean, if someone doesn't know what Cheers is, could you explain?
Cheers is set in a bar in Boston,
A basement bar.
a basement bar in Boston, where they got Manville's upstairs, the restaurant, and it's
The
all
Boston,
Bo-
America.
Boston, America, and
Because there's a Boston here
there
in the
is,
UK, yeah.
and it's all about the lives and tribulations of the characters. So you got Lilith and Frasier, who they're obviously they're together in this show, and they're like highfalutin. They're very posh. They don't they, like they're both psychiatrists, but they're so different because Frasier's a Freudian, but Lilith doesn't laugh at him with the Freudian stuff like that and Milton Mesmer stuff.
So is that like a psychological practice?
Yeah, because
Or like a...
it's like Freud was a psychologist,
I
but
mean, I've heard of Freudian,
yeah,
to do with things about sex.
he had controversial views, and we've got Sam Malone and Diane Chambers who are like the main two characters from the first 5 seasons because Diane comes in and then wants a job. And
From what I've seen of Diane, she seems like a bit of a... What, an airhead?
she is a bit. She is very thinks too much of herself. Especially since she can write a lot. She's lovely and nice to people, but she's too like full of herself sometimes. And then we've got Coach. Coach is lovely, a really funny character. He's a bit dimwitted sometimes. He works in the bar, and his pen pal actually is Woody. So when unfortunately the character passed away, Woody Harrelson came in as wanting to see him as a pen pal, but that's how they brought him in as that. You know what I really love about Cheers though? It's the way that Frasier came in when he just says something and then we've got a fright because they don't realise he's there, and that's how he's introduced.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of my favourite Frasier scenes, one of your favourites, is actually he thinks he's got like a wet blanket, like a carpet slipper, says, "I'm running with scissors, and I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
pet strange dog. They don't know what it's been. Frasier Crane's going to raise some hell." I love that. It's just so out of the blue, and then the squeaky shoes with Norm, and like Norm and Cliffy. Cliffy becomes a partner of online of like order male shoes, and
Right.
all the shoes are squeaky, and they're all walking about the bar, and then Sam's like, "Stop, everyone back to your bar stools," because they can't handle the squeakiness, and it's just such a farce, and it just brings delight every half an hour of episode because they're not linear episodes a lot of the time, so it's just so funny.
One of the things that I can recall, because I love, learning about behind the scenes things, and was it part of the character or was it just Ted Danson's thing where he wore a hairpiece? Because if you're new to the podcast, hi, I'm a lace wig maker, so I love all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's more of a security thing for him personally because he wanted to feel that he had hair.
So was it the character or was it?
I think it was Ted.
It was Ted.
Yeah, I think it was Ted more. Yeah, and he did mention
And
it.
I didn't even notice. I noticed when someone's wearing a hairpiece or a wig. I didn't notice this.
No,
So it must have
he
been
had
made
it. Yeah,
very well.
he told Carla about because Carla was feeling a bit insecure about something, and she told him about.
Just to share that
Yeah,
we've all got
yeah,
insecurities.
because they're best friends. And I know what I love about it as well. Even though a lot like Carla doesn't get on, she's right with Diane and doesn't like got on with Norman and Cliff. Now they're all friends, and I think it was just such a brilliant way, to bring people together. And I mean, how would one episode you'd have like them on a boat, getting blown up by Robin Colcore, but then you'd have another episode where Frasier's getting his foot on fire, and then you'd have another one where like they have the wedding of Kelly and Woody, and it's like it's just a farce. It's lovely.
Mhm.
It's
And
good.
I think you've missed someone out.
Who?
Curly hair.
Carla.
Yeah, you've not talked much about her.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Or she says Carla's lovely. Carla is just
Who's she played by?
Rhea Perlman, the wife of.
Danny DeVito.
Yes, she's absolutely lovely character. Carla is actually married a couple of times to Nick Tortelli, who is a bit of a womanizer who also has had affairs and stuff. And all that. Carla, what can you say about her? She's really a lovely person, but she's
Is that character Italian?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like Italian, yeah, and she acts like she's tough because of the way she was brought up, and she tries to like.
Yeah, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, she doesn't like Cliffy so much because she thinks Cliffy's so boring with his facts and stuff like that, and Norm, and hates Diane because thinks Diane's too prim and proper for her.
Okay.
Yeah, and doesn't like and lots of like Rebecca so much because Rebecca's this too of a whines all the time and stuff like that. So she's like, and you get all of this. You get a lot of the funny things like one episode where she gets Cliffy to go on a bucking bronco, like like when he's electronic horses, she going.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did that. Switch it off, Carla. No, there's another 6 hour you've broken the record, and it's things like that. It's just funny, and she looks. Yeah, it's just funny things like that.
Yeah, and then we go on to like the huge spin-off from Cheers that was Frasier.
Oh yeah, Frasier.
Now, I do actually like that show, and my favourite in it is. Her name eludes me. Give me a second. Oh, what's her name?
Who?
Lilith.
Yeah,
Lilith. I don't know why it took me a moment to remember what her name was.
How can you not forget? How can you not remember me, Frasier?
Yeah, I love that show. I used to watch it quite a lot in the mornings because I think it was made on Channel 4.
Yeah.
Well, it was
shown on Channel 4.
Shown on Channel 4,
Yeah.
but because the episodes were so short, and back then I didn't really have much of an attention span, I liked it.
Yeah, and it was good. And but it was different because Cheers is Cheers, but Frasier, even though a spin-off, was a completely different show. It didn't feel like a continuation of Cheers so much. It was like
Okay.
It was like it could work without being a spin-off of Cheers because it was that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I know what I love. My favourite character, Niles, and I love Niles and Daphne. I think.
So we have Kelsey Grammer as Frasier, of course.
Frasier.
We have
John Mahoney, no longer with us, who played Martin Crane.
Yeah, we have Jane Leeves who played Daphne.
Daphne Moon.
Or is that boyfriend of hers said Daphne? Daphne.
We got obviously, and we got Niles, played by.
Oh, I can't remember.
David Hyde Pierce.
I knew it was 3 names. Yeah. David Hyde Pierce.
We also got Rose Doyle.
Yep, Perry Gilpin.
Yeah, and do you want a fun fact about the name Rose Doyle?
I don't know. You tell us.
Basically, why she was called Rose Doyle is because, well, Perry Gilpin was on an episode of Cheers, and then she
Oh, was
realized,
she?
yeah, she was. So she was in audition. She auditioned. She realized Frasier was coming, so she auditioned.
Okay.
And the name Rose Doyle came from an episode of Wings, which is another soft sitcom show in America, where the person had passed away. So a tribute to the women on the cast, all the crew, they named her Rosalind Doyle.
Oh, that's
And
lovely.
it's nice, yeah, because a lot of Cheers characters like Lilith and Frasier and Norman Cliff went onto Wings for like cameo appearance, yeah. So I had her, and we also had lots of different characters, yeah.
And that's making a comeback soon, isn't it?
Oh, next month I think.
Is it
Hopefully,
next month?
hopefully if it's ready.
Now, I find it very strange that Nicholas Lyndhurst is going to be in it. How, how does that work?
Oh, them two, Kelsey and Nick, were in a musical called La Mana La Mancha. It didn't do that well because one of
Man of La Mancha.
yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't do that well back in like 2019, 2018. So they became friends. So he's doing that. He's going to play one of Frasier's friends. I assume
Is it going to be British or American?
British, I think, but I don't. I wish he was one of Daphne's brothers because that would work out better. Because he could play that, Nick could play that, like a Rodney type character for because
Mm-hmm.
Daphne's family, like Simon and that. But I love the premise of it though because it's going to have like obviously Frasier and Lilith and Freddie. It's going to have
Can we just say before we go on, I loved Fraser's house in that.
it was
Loved that
the
set.
flat. It was lovely. The skyline, everything was. It's so massive. But you know what I love better though? I love Niles's apartment better.
It's a bit too grand
Yeah,
for me.
I don't like the house he had with Maris, but I do like the one.
Maris was the character that you never seen.
Yeah, what do you think she looked like actually?
Who would play her? Because there's a lot of
B-
quite extreme descriptions of what she's.
B Arthur.
You think?
I think B would do it because she's that kind of matriarchal. She could do it.
But is it? No,
No,
wouldn't she have been a bit too old?
no, but no, yeah, but if it was young enough, she could do it. If I'm trying to say, but if they had like different effects on her and stuff like
Because
that,
I mean, there were some weird things that Niles described
yeah,
Maris like. I mean,
like she was thin enough to go through bars in her jail cell.
yeah, and B. Arthur wasn't
No,
like that.
do you remember that one where it's her Martha as her maid and she has a drink and
Yeah.
and she spits half of it out again?
Yeah.
Oh, good Mrs. Crane.
Yeah.
Mrs. Crane, aye.
She's drinking it through a wooden box.
Yeah, and she puts it back out because it's a wee bit too much for her.
Yeah. God, I mean, there's so many moments from that show. What was that scene where they were in like his little kitchen, or what I would probably call kitchenette, because it was quite tiny. And Daphne had said something about her Mabel Frill.
Oh yeah, that's be oh that stuff. That's just be Bovril because
It's Mabel Frill.
yeah, no, sorry, Niles throws it out thinking it's gone off, but it's not. It's Bovril.
Yeah.
Aye, and what was that one where they
Which is like a beef tea type drink.
Yeah, or you can have it in your mince and
Mince
make
and
gravy.
stew and things and casseroles.
Do you remember that episode where he's told to make a theme tune, but Martin makes one 2 minutes long one? It was nice, like I'm not listening, but then Frasier goes all over and has an orchestra and Niles
Yeah, it
singing.
goes completely overboard. And Frasier's the kind of character that always has to be one ahead
Yeah.
or be one up, like one-upmanship.
Yeah. Who can you call for prompt diagnosis? Fantasy due to psychosis.
Yeah, Dr. Crane.
Frasier Crane. And it wiggle on.
And who were the guest stars in that show? There was loads.
Patrick Stewart, he played one of Frasier's lovers, as you do.
Frasier's lovers.
Yeah, he fancied Frasier, and they had dancing together, and Frasier had the heart to tell him that he wasn't obviously gay. So yeah.
Okay.
Who else did we have?
Wendy Malick.
Wendy Malick, yeah, Wendy Malick. We adore Wendy Malick.
I adore her. I mean, in the previous episode, we talked about her in Hot in Cleveland playing Victoria Chase.
And I'm watching her at the moment doing.
I didn't like the wig she wore in Frasier though. That looked awful.
Ronnie, yeah, and I loved her in Owl House.
What was the character called? Ronnie.
Ronnie, I can't remember her last name.
Okay.
Yeah, and I loved her in Owl House just now. We had her. She was in it. There are lots of characters phoning in as special guests. We had. Who else did we have?
Because Frasier, he did a radio show.
Yeah, the radio show was like basically his way of getting back into psychiatry, and as Lilith called it, little advice pellets, because it wasn't full psychiatry, but he was able to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so many people, and even like so many great characters. Like Noel, he had like Gil Chesterton. He didn't know he was gay or not, and like kind of rolling the food critic. He had like Bulldog Briscoe,
Mhm.
who's actually gay in real life. It's really nice that he's actually got a husband in real life. It's so lovely to have that contrast, you know.
Yeah.
And having Freddie in it as well was nice because it's nice when he gets to visit, you know, and do stuff. It's nice.
What was that episode when it was Freddy's
Bar mitzvah.
bar mitzvah? Yeah, and they were talking like fake Klingon or
Oh
something.
yeah, but Noel was meant to teach them Jewish, but was so angry at Frasier because he forgot.
Yiddish, isn't it?
Well, might be in Hebrew because Yiddish is the Azerani European Jewish language.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry. And then what was Noel was angry because he wanted to get an autograph from something or from this Star Trek convention he was going to or something, and forgot. So he said doing that he taught on Klingon,
Okay.
and they realised that Freddie's like rival in the bar mitzvah realised it was Klingon. It was nice. Then Lilith had the camera, Marty's on camera, remember, and then Lilith. It made Lilith really pale. You couldn't see Lilith in the photo because she's that pale that the flash made her.
Mhm.
I thought that was really funny.
And God, I'm forgetting everyone's name. What? Who played Lilith?
BB Newworth.
BB Newworth. Yeah, she's got quite an interesting singing voice.
She
A
has
great singing voice, but quite interesting.
Bilbao.
No, it's more like this. She sings very nasty.
I love Lilith. Honest, you know what, Lilith? Like I remember, like I kept saying, Lilith, you need to watch Lilith, and you were like, "Who's Lilith?"
Lilith needs her own spin-off.
She does because you know what, that character can work on her own because she's just so witted. It's like I remember in
Like
Cheers.
I don't know who wrote her lines, but hats and wigs off to them.
I know, because remember that episode they were talking to Woody and Kelly because they were both Lutheran, but they're both different Lutherans, so that they thought they can be together.
What's Lutheran?
It's like sort of Christian faith.
Okay.
And Lilith was saying, like Frasier was saying, like we are both respect both our religions because she's Jewish and he's Christian, or brought up, or baptized. But by doing that, she lets Lilith win, making him Jewish. So it's like, so she's the matriarch. She's the one that calls the shots, and it's nice.
Mhm.
And he's scared of her because like she's Lilith, you know.
And how long did it take? Because there was a running story in the show that Niles loved Daphne, and then in the end, spoiler alert, they did get
I
married.
think it was series 8. Do you remember how that happened?
No,
Basically, they were having They were,
because like there was various points in the show when Niles almost told her how he really felt,
but you couldn't.
and then something happened and to stop it.
Yeah, so what happened was Frasier and Daphne were in Frasier's bedroom. I think she was giving him a massage. He had been given some drugs, tranquilizer or something, and he
Right.
got a bit crazy. And he said, and he was saying that, he loves you, Dr. Crane loves you. And he thought, you, Dr. Crane? No, Niles. And she realizes because Frasier accidentally blurts it out
Yeah.
because he's all drugged up. And it's so nice to see that finally it comes out because he has loved her. And what really funny thing was, the first episode, they got a flashback for a day before, the week before the first episode in the Nothing Nervosa. Niall smells a perfume and loves it,
All right.
but the woman's actually Daphne and they haven't met yet. So even before they met,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's so nice to see that it from way back a week before, obviously the first episode, like in the continuity of it, he loves her, and it's like, and you always like, you know what the best episode, Moondance. That
Yeah.
was
Who was it that directed that?
Kelsey's first ever one he directed and produced.
His debut
Like
directorial thing,
yeah,
I suppose.
and it was so well done because that was the one you felt that they're gonna get together because it was so brilliantly done, but they don't. But
Yeah, toying with the audience.
it was so good, you know. You know what I love as well? That episode where Fraser's driving, right, and like then he has a daydream of his wife, his ex-wife, his girlfriend Diane, his ex-wife, and his other ex-wife Danny G,
Mhm.
and all his girlfriends. He doesn't understand why he can't commit to anyone,
Okay.
and it's so funny. And then all he sees is Diane painting a picture of Sam Malone.
Yeah, and to anyone listening, if you've got favourite moments from any of the shows that we're discussing, do get in touch on our Instagram at Life at Your Own Will. We would love to hear about your favourite moments. But we need to talk about one of the unsung cast,
Oh yes,
Eddie.
Eddie.
Eddie the Jack Russell.
Oh, Eddie's brilliant. Come on, Eddie.
Do you remember the episode where he had a pigeon friend?
Oh, I remember that. I remember that. I was so and then one of he brings the doll, the Barbie doll or something, and and he plays with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, and we've got our own little Eddie, our own Jack
And we
Russell.
have. Oh, and what was that one where Fraser was tasked with making a video tape to promote Seattle, and then Marty thinks he's stoned.
No, I can't
Well,
remember that
they
one.
have they have edibles, and he thinks he's stoned, and he sees the picture of Eddie on the TV and hears the voice, and he's so scared, like, Eddie, what are you doing on TV or something like that. It's just so funny because he's not actually stoned. His mind's playing a trick on him, thinking he's actually stoned, and he's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so funny.
Yeah, a great show, and that ran from 93 to 2004, and soon to be 2023.
Woo!
Is it going to be a series, or is it just a one-off special?
It's a pilot first to see if it works, but now, baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs,
We got it
and
again.
quite stylish. I love the Spanish version. They do that at the end of one of the episodes where Frasier tries to help everyone get better pay, but then they close the station down, make it a 24-hour Latino station, and it's just hilarious. I mean, I could talk about these things for a while, but you know what I love about shows like this is like you can see the love and passion. It's like with theatre going on
Mm-hmm.
because
You can see it in the writing.
yeah, because like one episode of Cheers, you see it behind the scenes. Baby Newworth has to bite her lip and she nearly bleeds because she can't stop laughing and she has to not show it.
Ah,
And it's like that shows you that she loves what she does
yeah.
and knows that she's not she's here to have fun. And do you know how Lilith got it? Lilith was doing a play. I can't remember what it was. Well, BB, and she was asked to come on. And her friend at the time said, "What are you going to say when they ask you to come back?" They're not going to ask you to come back. They're going to ask you to come back because he watched it and how good she was, and she didn't realize at the time what an impact she made on the show.
Right.
So she came back and it's like, and one of my favorites
I
is
mean, I will be honest. I would be more likely to tune into an episode if she was in it.
yeah, me too. And it's like, you know what I love, but is it season 9, season 8 where she's actually in the credits because she's
Yeah.
not normally in. She's normally sometimes not in it or in like the extra bits. Having her
Do you
in,
mean the opening titles?
yeah, she's in the opening titles as well and the ending credits sometimes. But having her in the opening titles for our season means that she's part of the main cast and it's
Yeah.
lovely. One of my
And
favorites.
that she's made it.
Yeah, one of my favourite scenes with her and Rebecca and Frasier is when. Do you remember when Rebecca makes her tea room
Yeah.
and we just make cheers and she goes, "What would you like? Would you like one of our delicious biscuits?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "No, just tea, please."
No, she was played by Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley, the late Kirstie Alley,
R.I.P.
and it says like, "It costs just as much to boil the kettle."
Yeah.
And then she brings this chili fruit. It's so funny because all they want is tea, and she can't understand why they just want tea. And it's like, they play it so well.
I mean, if I was going for tea, I wouldn't want just tea. I'd want cake or biscuits.
Yeah, exactly. Or a scone or a crumpet.
Oh, I didn't know you liked a bit of crumpet. Do you know any behind the scenes things of how Frasier was made?
I probably do actually.
Well, this is the ideal time to talk about them.
Yeah, I think well, I'll tell you. So basically, 6 months before, well, I think it's like 6 months a year before Cheers finished, they knew about making a Frasier spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
So he was filming part of that, making it where he was filming the last bits of Cheers and stuff like that. So that's how it came about. So when it finished, they would have something not long to wait until Frasier came on.
Oh,
So in
okay.
America, they have like 24 episodes in like 24 weeks. So then they have the next ones. It's not on for off for long.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think that's how they do it. So they have like 24 episodes. That's why it's longer. They have more money for production. So it's off for a season. It comes back in. And you can have a season 1 year. Then end of the year, you can have the second one. It's not like here you have like 6 episodes a comedy series, and then it's next year.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happens there. And you've got and it's nice. And partly the song of tossed salad and scrambled eggs. They didn't want it to be. They didn't want it to be a song about psychiatry and the premise of the show, but they didn't want it to not be about it, if you know what I mean. So they had subtle hints of it, like the tossed salad and scrambled eggs. Tossed salad has been scrambled eggs being egg on your face because obviously something's happened, but they didn't want to outright say like this is about psychiatry, but it's like they're insinuating it's about mental health and psychiatry and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's an amazing thing. And it's amazing in that way because it means the song's great and it doesn't draw you away. Think, oh, it's going to be too much highbrow, but it's psychiatry, and that you're not going to get the jokes. So obviously, Frasier's more intelligent comedy in Cheers because you've got the more serious topics and serious way they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. My another one of my favourite scenes is when Martin goes to the posh shop and there's, I think it's really expensive dog food.
Yeah,
He's like, how much?
I love that. When she gets her ball roll, that's where Daphne gets her ball roll.
Oh, is it?
I think it is anyway.
Imported, is it?
Yeah, and I said that's the caviar episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When they go crazy for caviar.
And they have to go to boats and stuff to get this caviar, and it's like, yeah, it's just, it's brilliant. And I love Niall so much. Like he's just. I remember that one where they went to the wine club. and they come Cork. Is it Frasier and Niles comes Cork Master, and it's like such a. Oh no, what's the one where they have the restaurant? Remember, and then Roz the exploding cherries, and Roz's hair goes all over the place.
No, I can't remember that, but I remember the one where there's like some sort of exclusive club and there's like a secret membership and Frasier has to have it.
Oh yeah, that was the wine club, I think.
Oh, was it that one?
Yeah, that was great. Oh, the one in the restaurant, he fires the chefs, and Ross's hair goes up like because they're folding cherries.
Yes, so many good moments.
I know.
Yeah, it's been so thrilling talking about another couple of our favourite comedies, and now we get to the point in the show where we talk about a new segment of the podcast, and it's called Will's Weird and Wonderful Fact of the Week. Are you excited, Jay?
Woo!
Are you stuck to your seat?
Woo!
Okay, calm it. Have you ever heard of a thing called window tax?
No.
No. Okay, if you live in a town that's quite historic and you look at the older buildings, you'll notice that some of where the windows used to be, they're all bricked up.
Oh yes, I remember that.
This is because of a thing called window tax. Now, window tax was basically a thing in the 18th century, and it was brought in by William III, and it was to impose a tax on people that had quite large properties. Did you know that?
I didn't know that at all. Thank you.
And so if you had more than X amount of windows, you were charged a tax per annum. So
Oh.
that's so to stop people having to pay the tax, they bricked up their windows so they didn't have to pay it.
Oh, is that like when we saw in Verona when we were there? Like the windows getting boarded up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it went from the UK to other countries. I'm sure that if anyone listening will be able to get in touch and let us know that, that would be great. But yeah, window tax was a thing.
Crazy, to think that, eh?
Well, really, when you think about the amount of tax these days, like income tax, council tax, blah, 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 blah,
Bedroom
but
tax.
this isn't a. Well, it's not yet a political podcast, but we might talk about some political things in the future. But yeah, we hope that you've enjoyed that weird and wonderful fact of the week. Also, if you have enjoyed this podcast or if you've ever listened to it, do consider subscribing to it. And if you could please, please, please leave us a review, that really helps us get the podcast. Well, yeah, it would help us get cash eventually, but it helps to push the podcast out there to other listeners and help us be seen. So, thank you again so much for joining us this week. We'll be back again at the same time, same place next week. We might bring you another bonus episode. I'm not going to guarantee that, but yeah, the only way that you'll find out is if you subscribe. So take good care of yourself, keep doing lots of self-care, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
But just one final thing before we go, and I'm going to be asking this to every guest that appears on the podcast. So Jay, what does life at your own will mean to you?
Living your life to the full, being a kind, generous person, no prejudices, being there, open and friendly, and caring for people, and being there when they need you most, and just making the world a better place.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.